Good day, everyone. For today, we are going to discuss about adjusting entries or adjusting the accounts, which is the fourth step of the accounting process. It could be like this is the fifth step, depending on the source, just like the source of Baliada. But I would say this is the fourth step following Lopez's flow. Because again, the first step is journalizing of transactions, followed by posting the journal entries to the general ledger. That's the second. Third is preparation of trial balance, which is unadjusted, so without adjustments first. And this one, we are going to discuss about adjustments of the accounts. We just have to take note though that not all accounts will have to be adjusted. So only certain or specific accounts related to certain transactions will have to be adjusted. All right, so you can notice there as a sort of introduction on the picture about making adjustments as needed depending on the case or situation. So that's the point of some adjustments. Although this picture is about like planning, but this one is on the part of the accounting process. So here are our learning objectives so that at the end of the chapter, we should be able to have or do the following. So we can actually have 1 to 6 as sort of introduction, while 7 will have to be the formal journalizing and making of the adjusting entries, then omitting adjustments, the effects of that, then adjusting entries will have to be, of course, posted also to the T accounts or ledgers. Then we are, of course, going to do that right after we have journalized the adjusting entries on the general journal. So I repeat, the adjusting entries will have to be recorded also in the general journal right after all the regular transactions from step 1. Then after that, after we have determined the balances from the T accounts, we now have or we now can prepare the adjusted trial balance. And then 12 is to explain the alternative methods of recording deferrals. I will have to include this, or I will have to present this next to prepayments or deferrals. All right. So you will know, or we will know later on what deferrals are, just like prepayments and pre-collection of income. So for objectives 1 to 6, these are actually concepts which have been discussed from overview of accounting as well as our discussions from presentation of financial statements, conceptual framework from the subject or course, conceptual framework and accounting standards. So you can check those discussions in the channel. Okay, so accrual basis of accounting. As said, this concept simply means that the recognition of income or revenue and expense will not be dependent upon the timing of cash flows, such that, for example, income is recognized when cash is received, or expenses will have to be recognized when such is paid. I mean, the such is cash. Cash is being used as mean or mode of payment. So in that particular case, that's going to be cash basis of accounting, not anymore accrual basis of accounting. So the adjusting entries would be the proof that we are going to make use of accrual basis of accounting in journalizing and dealing with transactions here in financial accounting and reporting and wherever we go in the accounting course. So accrual basis of accounting then would mean that income or revenue is recognized when earned and expenses are recognized when incurred. One question could be, when can revenues be earned? So you can refer to the discussions from IFRS 15, which basically states that this is when the risks and rewards of ownership have been transferred, if not 100%, but substantially to the buyer. So substantial or material or significant is a matter again of professional judgment. Then Also, when the management control is relinquished or transferred substantially to the buyer. So normally we would say that delivery would be fine, but then under IFRS 15, there would be more than that. So you can refer to the standard. And then to simplify though, we would say that when goods or services have been delivered to the intended buyers or customers or consumers in the contract, then there's already revenue. So that is our earning point. While expenses, when we say incurred, when, for example, we have already utilized or used or consumed the asset, or we have already received the services provided by service providers, just like, for example, the electricity from the electric company. So in that case, expenses are already incurred, although the payment of the electricity will be sometime next month. So again, basic point, timing of cash flows is not important in determining whether we have to recognize revenues and expenses. And we are going to make use accrual basis because that is under GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. Is it a requirement? Yes, of course. But cash basis of accounting can be used by micro entities. So these entities, which are even below the small entities, which will be discussed in PFRS 1, first time adoption to Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. All right. So in cash basis, recognize revenues when cash is received, recognize expenses when cash is paid. Okay, so here is an illustration. For example, a client paid the Sea Wind Resort, this is our company in Boracay Island, 7,000 pesos on April 8, 2019 for a certain one-day super deluxe accommodation on May 13, 2019. In this particular case, at April 8, 2019, that 7,000 is still a liability. So there is no income to be considered yet on the sense or in the sense that no services have been rendered or provided yet. So only when the services have been provided by May 13 that we are going to recognize revenue. That is accrual basis of accounting. However, if we're going to talk about cash basis of accounting, so even at April 8, we're going to recognize 7,000 entirely as revenue. But again, that is not what we are going to deal with here. So we are going to use accrual basis of accounting in which we are going to defer it as a liability. Again, you will know deferrals later on. Defer is to postpone. So defer the recognition of revenue. For the meantime, it's liability. Once services are provided, that becomes revenue. Next, periodicity concept basically means that the life of the business will have to be divided into equal intervals of time. And we call that accounting periods. So accounting periods could be a month, a quarter, a semester composed of 6 months, or a year. So we've discussed this already in the introduction to accounting or overview. Now, we can actually determine as to whether a certain business is really profitable or not if we are going to measure its performance at the end of its life. However, although the life of the business has an ending, but because of the going concern assumption, so we are going to assume that the business has an indefinite period of time. It has an ending, but we do not know when. That's why we cannot really wait for that time as to the determination of the performance, financial position, cash flows, etc. So that's why we have to divide it into equal periods or intervals of time called the accounting periods. And this is the periodicity concept or time dash period assumption for some books. If it is a year, there would be different classifications. Normally we have fiscal, which is going to start at any beginning of any month except January, while calendar is going to start with January, and natural business will be depending upon, for example, it would begin at the highest level and end with the lowest level. The highest level is called the peak season, PEAK, while the lowest level will be the slack season. So normally those are the years, fiscal, natural, business, and calendar. However, if it's going to be less than a year, a month, a quarter, or a semester, we call that interim period. So the financial statements are called interim financial statements. Is it a requirement to prepare interim financial statements? The answer is no. That will be discussed more in IAS 34. So businesses need periodic reports. We need to have the financial statements that are to be prepared in equal intervals of time so that we'll be able to assess properly the financial condition and performance so that we can also compare later on apples with apples and oranges with oranges. So we compare year with a year, quarter with a quarter, semester with a semester, and month with a month. All right. Next is recognition and the recognition. Recognition, as said, is synonymous to journalizing and recording. So this is the inclusion of an accounting element, whether an asset, liability, equity, income, or expense, to our financial statements from journalizing, from posting and trial balance preparation and adjustments. So the statement of financial position, which is formerly known as balance sheet. These are the financial statements, by the way, and the statement of financial performance or the statement of comprehensive income. We normally do not make use of statement of financial performance, would depict the different accounting elements. So assets, liabilities, and equity for the statement of financial position, while for the statement of comprehensive income, we have the income and expenses. So recognition, again, is synonymous to journalizing and recording. All right. Then we can recall on the partners under the rules of debit and credit and analysis of transactions that for certain accounts, if they're going to increase, there has to be a partner with some increase or decrease of the other account. Well, that's true. We can refer to the previous discussions on the sense that, again, we have duality of sides, so debit and credit respectively. So example of this one would be the recognition of income occurs at the same time as recognition of an asset. Of course, because asset is directly proportional to equity, in which income is an increase to equity or a plus. Another one is if liability would decrease, so the income or equity would also increase. And expenses would, for example, increase, so there is an increase of liability, and then expenses also would decrease the asset, for example, if expenses would increase, just like depreciation, which you will know of. But for the others, perhaps they have known already depreciation of property, plant, and equipment. So those are just some examples of certain things in which there would be recognition of one item with another item. So I do hope that I solved this point in time because of experiences with journalizing of transactions, so you are able to know them. Then recognition is very appropriate or even appropriate if it results in both relevant information about the accounting elements and a faithful representation so that those important information that has bearing to the users of financial statements will have to be included. So the material and significant amounts. Relevance and faithful representation are two primary qualitative characteristics or fundamental qualitative characteristics under the conceptual framework. So refer to more discussions of that in the conceptual framework. On the other hand, the recognition is the opposite of recognition. If recognition is the inclusion to the financial statements or incorporation or incorporating the accounting values or accounts to the financial statements, the recognition is the opposite. The removal of all or a part of the accounting element from, for example, the asset or liability from an entity statement of financial position, because normally these are the items that will be recognized and then will have to be recognized later on. For an asset, normally we are going to remove if no more benefits there will result to the company, or the company will no longer use the asset, or it is, for example, being transferred now substantially in terms of risks and rewards of ownership, or the ownership's risks and rewards or benefits are now transferred substantially to certain buyers or parties or customers. While liability normally will be recognized once there is a payment or settlement of that particular obligation. So that's recognition versus the recognition. Next, why do we have to prepare adjustments? Well, there are some accounts and transactions wherein they are not updated in terms of the values. The values there have to be updated, or there are changes for those accounts that have to be incorporated for better financial reporting. And it's possible also that there were some errors encountered in the recording of transactions. And that's why we are going to change the errors for this particular step. So hopefully we're able to detect them. So again, the purpose of adjustments will be updating of balances and correcting the balances. So without adjusting entries, then we will not be able to present properly financial reports to certain users. And this is also the great part in accounting, because if errors are committed in, for example, step one, which is journalizing of transactions, then it will be cured under adjusting entries. This is the very powerful step. Although this is useless if we do not know what errors that we have encountered and what should be the correct one. So we can have this process flow again from general journal. So of course, this is where we have recorded the transactions under step one. Then the ledger will be under step two. Trial balance will be unadjusted. In step four, for example, we have already prepared the adjusting entries. They will also have to be recorded in the general journal. After that, because everything that goes to the general journal will have to be transferred to the ledgers, so we are going to place them to the appropriate accounts. Then after that, we can now prepare the adjusted trial balance, although this is not required because adjusted trial balance will be part of the worksheet. Okay, so that would be it, or that's it for our introduction for adjusting entries. Hopefully you learned something from this session. Thank you very much and God bless.